the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Under Josh Heupel in Knoxville. But my first question to you, what is your number one spring practice question that you've been thinking the most about with Tennessee football right now?
I think it's, big picture wise, it's probably just how deep is this team? How much, when you leave spring practice, how many guys do you think, man, that guy could really help us? He can help us this fall. That proverbial above the line and below the line, if you will. You look at a guy and say, well, he's probably a year plus away. Or you look at this guy and go, hey, he's definitely ready to go. I don't think that you're going to come out of spring and have a left tackle established. I don't think you're going to come out and have your 5 secondary guys as you're replacing all your starters from a year ago. I don't think you're going to come out and go, okay, these are our 5. We're done. Yeah. I think it's more about how many in the back end do I feel like that we can win with right now. Is that 5? Is that 8? Is that 10, 12? Same thing for the offensive line. Is it 4 guys searching for a 5th and then I don't know? Or do you come out of spring practice and go, hey, you know what? We got 7 or 8 guys we think we can line up and play with. If called upon, that they can go, play and play winning football for us. So for me, it's about how deep is this team at different positions. Look, the wide receiver spot looks really deep right now, right? Are those new skill guys going to live up to that hype? If you say so, then that's going to be a really deep squad. Tight end wise, a lot to prove there. So there's a lot of questions. I think big picture, the biggest question is, of your 85 scholarship guys, and let's throw in a few walk-ons. Let's say 90 guys. Of your 90 guys that are talented enough to play, how many of them do you believe it can line up and win for you right now? And what does that number look like at the end of spring compared to the start of spring? Is that a greater number? Are you a deep team? Or are you a team that you go, we can't get an injury here, or this guy's going to have a great summer here to have a chance to help us? Those are the big things for me.
I think that's interesting the way you're looking at it. It's like, I think so many fans probably glob onto, okay, who's going to be the starter? Who's going to be the difference maker? But what you're suggesting, and I think that's a really astute point of it, like, it's actually about who is not going to be a factor, is like who we got, like, come summer and fall, they're just too far gone, or it's going to take some time. Like, it could be freshmen. It could be guys who you hoped were going to be able to make a jump from year 2 to year 3, things like that, where you're like, they're not going to be rotation guys, it looks like. So you just know, so you can plan better for the summer and fall and just kind of know, because not everybody's going to be ready. Not everybody's going to be ready to contribute. And spring ball actually being on the inverse of what folks might expect, I think is a big one. And then I think part 2 is, I am very curious how they handle tight end spring and summer, because when you talk about a position group that can't suffer any major injuries going into this year, they've been very fortunate. Tennessee has, even with the numbers from the first year with Heupel and the last couple, like they haven't really had to deal with some devastating injuries to any particular room outside of maybe you could say linebacker last year. That one was hit pretty hard by the end of the year. But by and large, Tennessee's had some really nice injury luck the last 3 years. That room this year in particular cannot suffer any major injuries to one of Holden, Staes, and Ethan Davis. And Ethan Davis has been banged up before. He got injured literally in the spring game last year with a big time catch from Nico. So I am most curious in terms of position groups from this spring. My question is, how involved and how hard do they push Holden and Ethan? Because you have to have them both 100% come first week of September.
Yeah, the challenge for that position, though, is those are not returning veterans that you can put them in bubble wrap and put them on the shelf, right?
Not a Cooper Mays situation.
Right. It's not Cooper Mays, and it's not James Pierce, right? It's not these guys who, hey, I know what that guy can do. I don't really want to hear about them. Instead, these are guys that Holden State is coming from, a Notre Dame offense that bled the clock, that was pretty methodical into this offense. And we heard McCullen Castles a year ago talk about just how difficult the transition it was, just learning the Tennessee offense and how it can overwhelm you if you're not careful. He credited Jacob Warren for helping him into that. But Holden State's has got to figure this offense out. You can't do that by standing and watching. You can't do it by just going through walkthroughs. You've got to be in the fray. And Ethan Davis is a guy who's got to get more physical, right? He's got to be a more physical blocker. You don't do that by standing and watching. But to your point, you can't afford to get one of them hurt in spring practice, but you can't afford not to practice them either, and that's the challenge of that position. So you just got to go get those guys ready, and you hope if they get banged up, it's something minimal that they can bounce back from, really quickly after spring practice. And you just hope that there's no significant injury, and knock on wood, you just don't have anything like that happen. But you just can't take a chance and saying, hey, we're going to limit all your contact until week 1 because we don't have any other options at the tight end position. When in reality, those guys need as much work as anybody on this roster does.
There's all kinds of intrigue there, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. And like you said, they're going to have to learn, and they're going to have to play, and you're just going to have to hope that they're able to stay healthy this year, because they're just so critical to what Tennessee does. And you've talked about for years just how important the tight end position is in this offense. So Holden and Ethan making the leap and being healthy and being available is going to be critical this spring and summer. What position battle are you most locked in on this spring?
I think probably safety.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.